Good morning. You okay, Momo? Don't drink water too fast. Yeah, it's like 6:48 in the morning. It was nice being able to go to bed at a decent time and sleep the whole fucking night. My younger son and his wife and son came over yesterday, and I had anxiety like crazy for a bit there. They showed up after I went down by the market to grab some shorts for the gym. But I don't even think they were here 10 minutes before I ended up having to just kind of leave, because the one thing that I struggle with here is that, well, I'll just put it this way: if you ever wonder where certain like bad behaviors that you get that you might have, even if it's something that might develop later in life, pay attention to what your parents are doing. There's a good chance it came from there. I'm just happy and thankful I don't fucking bellow and yell like my dad does. He still has that military voice. And it explains why I have to, at any time the dogs start to bark, I try to shush them quickly, because his voice, where we're at, he yells, everybody in the neighborhood can fucking hear it. And that gets embarrassing as fuck. I actually, like, almost had an urge yesterday, because I was already dealing with anxiety, but I had an urge to just kind of verbally tear into him yesterday. It's like, dude, shut up. There's no reason to be yelling like that. None whatsoever. Like, I had an urge to smack my dad for once. I was like, no, not okay. I grew up with that type of shit. My dad started drinking again here lately, and he does it after he drops my mom off at the facility place that she's been staying at. She gets to come home and visit and all that. Earlier in the week, even my mom tried to pull some shit that she would pull when I was a kid, and I turned around and looked at her dead in the face and said, I know you had 3 strokes, but I'm not reliving my childhood with you. So I'm not going through that shit. I said, you're going to have a 4th one if you keep this one going. I had my door shut and locked, and she proceeded to try and push her way through the door. And when I made that very clear to her, I was like, I am not going to relive my childhood with you. And held the door shut, and I was like, no, you need to go away. And Dad finally stepped in and was like, no, you need to leave him alone. Stop doing that. That was the first time in my life my father ever actually did that. So I'm proud of my dad on that part. I actually, when it comes to genuine yelling, I understand when people's voices get raised when they're being passionate or irritated, stuff like that. But if people understood what yelling was, they need to, I think they understand what yelling is. They need to go listen to what it sounds like when you've got a literal drill sergeant yelling. They learn to use their voices. Where my dad was more or less verbally abusive growing up, my mom was the one that was physically abusive. So living here, dealing with what I dealt with, yeah, a lot of wounds got opened up. And a lot of it is just dealing with just the residual effects of everything. And the fact that these old wounds were reopened from some bullshit that was unnecessary. And a lot of it has to do with, the people within your vicinity hurting you. See, this is what I've experienced and learned in life. If somebody's going to hurt you, steal from you, lie to you, do anything like that, it's going to be somebody you know and care about. Very rarely does it happen to you by someone you don't know. And that would be something that would be very nice to see change in this fucking world. Mamas, no. Poor Momo. I'll be lopping some turkey heads off if they keep pecking my dogs, though. I love my turkeys, but they catch one of my dogs in the eyes. That's not going to be okay. But no, I ended up leaving yesterday for a while they were visiting. So I can, stand in that sunshine. So I can just kind of go chill out, because it was like, no, I had been awake for maybe an hour. And it takes me a while to wake up. And all I'm hearing is that bellowing. Yeah, the dog's barking. That's annoying enough. And sometimes it causes you to, your blood pressure to immediately go up. But then you throw in the bellowing, and my dad don't have a low tone voice. It gets loud and ear piercing, and that's when it's like immediately, it's like, no. There's a lot of things that I'm being reminded of why I had chose being homeless at one point than living here. Why I chose to live in a tool shed at one point instead of living here, because my parents and I would get along for most part fairly well when I'm not living here, because I don't have to deal with the other bullshit that comes with it. And yeah, I've just been really learning a lot of patience. I'm maybe 2-3 weeks out from, because everything with my house has to be done by the 7th or sooner of September. So I'm maybe 2-3 weeks out. And so like I said, I've been looking at homes again. I've got my list starting to build up again, and I'm going to go down the list and start making offers. The one place I really liked before, it's back on the market. So when I go to talk to the realtor, I'll be finding out soon enough what was wrong with it. That type of thing. And depending on what it is, depends on whether or not I get it or not. Because there was nothing major wrong with it from what I saw from the walkthrough and all that fun stuff. So the only part that I think that they might have backed out on was the unfinished basement part, basically. It looked more like a storm shelter to me than a basement. But something like that, I wouldn't care if I had someone go in and carefully clean it out and then lay some concrete down or whatever. But yesterday when I went on my walk and all that, kind of gave me enough perspective that it's like, yeah, it's been long overdue to move in that chapter of my life to be closed. I'm not one of those people who want to go the rest of my life dealing with certain types of addictions, including this one. That I really need to quit. And a lot of it's anxiety and stress driven. So I'm still gonna deal with anxiety and stress even after moving. Yet I'm not gonna be dealing with all the fucking repairs and all that shit that I've been having to deal with the current house. Let alone have to worry about doing it by myself. Some of it I don't mind. Like if I have to paint a room or something, I can do that on my own. That's nothing. But I'm just making sure that wherever I move to, it's something that doesn't have all those fucked up repairs, and that basically I can have things done right before I get there. And depending on what it is, I can probably have done after I get there. But no, I've already decided I'm making the move, and once I'm moved, that's when I'm gonna be investing in starting my biz. I'm still sitting and considering to myself on the aspect of how I'm gonna carry on my YouTube channel. Come on, Mama, let's go away from Turkey Girl so you don't get pecked again. But, sorry guys, I just woke up. Fucking Peeper being a butt face to the dog. The dogs are afraid of the chickens and the turkeys now. For the most part. Yes, hi Turkey Girl. Hi girl. Ah, turkeys. Ah, sweet girl. Yeah, that's a turkey girl. Yeah. That's the turkey girl. And that's Mama. Careful, Mama. I don't want you getting pecked by her. But I still want to utilize the experiences that I've had dealing with the abuse that I dealt with in this recent relationship to help others. But I also wouldn't mind doing the same for people who've dealt with other forms of abuse, because I've dealt with way too much in my life. I've got a couple friends that I've known since high school. I didn't go to school with them. I actually met them through my brother Jess. It's like, in all honesty, everybody I met was through my brother, and then there's only a handful of people that I met like on my own through like work and stuff, or more recently my neighbors. And then my neighbors, because the one is still my neighbor to my other property when I had him do the laser burning stuff for, I had him take a piece of cowhide and make a go board, laser burn a go board on it. But if you don't know what Go is, look up the game of Go. Otherwise, Othello. Othello is similar to Go, just, yeah. But, but no, almost, 90% of the people I've ever met, it's been because of my brother Jess. That includes relationships. But no, it's time to move, go somewhere more affordable, get away from all this toxic shit. I need to get as far away from it as possible, and if at some point I return, I return. I know I'll be able to visit from time to time. Andy, gotta leave them alone. But over time, I'll be able to return and visit here and there. Especially, I don't want to not lose out on that relationship with my grandchildren. But I know I've got to do this for myself, and I've got to get healthier and all that. I'd like to live past 60, to be honest, and I just don't see myself reaching the age of 60. And that's a cross between my NF2, which average life expectancy is something like 38 years from the time it develops or is diagnosed. Because usually, like, when you have something like that developing in your arm, a big-ass tumor, most people usually go and get it checked out right away, and they usually get their diagnosis then. I didn't get my diagnosis till about 10 or so years after it started before I started noticing it started developing, which was at about 17 or 18. So if I can basically lower the stress, anxiety, all that shit in my life, and cut back and quit smoking type thing, hopefully I can see 70. These are things that sit on my head, and it's like, I'm already in the last 20 years of my life, basically. I don't want to make something of it. I don't want to give any more of myself to people who only take, but don't give anything into a relationship at all. And if they do, it's usually because they either want something or they want to manipulate you. I just want a genuine relationship and a family that actually wants me around. I'm very driven to make some pretty heavy changes within a year because I don't have that time. I don't have that time to fuck around. I mean, right now it's just a waiting game until the house is done. You know, the sailing and shit like that. But once that's done, then that's when everything starts rolling. That's when I buy a home. That's when, once I'm moved and get there, then I can go through the process of starting the business. I already know how much it is to get a beer license there because I don't really want a liquor license type thing. But you can, well, the license is still a liquor license, so I could sell whiskey and vodka and shit if I wanted, but that's not what I want to do. I figured, I figured beer and wine that I can sell with, out of the food truck, and then, obviously juice, water, soda, that type of stuff. Try to limit selection of some things so that way there's room for others. My menu, I've got it done. I mean, I'm still open. If I found that right person to run it with me, then I would be open to some changes so that things work for them as well. But in the meantime, I'm planning on the moving, getting my house and starting a business and running it on my own. So I mean, I'm excited about it. Part of me is nervous. I'm not really, and anxious at the same time, because it's like, okay, I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but it should hopefully go good. Because the learning curve is gonna be like the part that I do worry about, and that's, I want to call it the clerical side of running a business, that, like the paperwork, the orderings, the numbers, those types of things. I'm not 100% comfortable or confident in it, but everything else, the cooking and cleaning and doing that shit, I'm obviously perfectly confident in and comfortable with. Food prep, all that. It's like the main functions of running a business I can do in that sense, or a restaurant. It's the paper stuff that gets me overwhelmed and I'm feeling half retarded on. But no, I actually had a fairly good night. Slept really well. After my walk yesterday, I visited with my son and his wife and my grandson, and they, like some old high school, well, not really high school, but some old friends of mine, they said some things that really meant a lot to me. The fact, and like my old friend, she's known the abuse that I went through as a kid also. She saw what I went through. And to have her tell me what she said, it meant a lot. Because I've just been feeling really alone here anymore, and taking time away from social media to kind of get my head cleared. Limit somebody's ability to go through my shit for that time being, because it's clear that, maybe they needed a break too. And, of course, focused on my YT channel. In a moment there, I was just ready to just quit altogether. But I think I really need to sit and somehow figure out how I can take this experience to teach others. Let alone not just the recognition and all that, but even though I'm not a doctor, I'd still like to use my experience to help others be able to get through something like this too. And teach them some of the coping and methods that I've been practicing to get through this type of shit. Because I know a lot of people who are victims of someone like that. it can take them, you know, a very long time. A very long time to recoup from that kind of abuse. It's not good. It's a very, very draining form of abuse. Mentally, physically, spiritually, every aspect. It drains you. And so, because it's nonstop. That's why I kind of start turning off the TV. You know, I'll watch YouTube. I'm very selective on what I watch anymore. Sorry. And I start cutting off a lot of politics and all that too. Because our country is being run very narcissistically. There's a reason why every week there's something fucking new. Or every other day. And it's nonstop. And the American people are being bombarded by it. It's a form of abuse on the American people. You keep bombarding them with shit nonstop. You mentally and physically drain them over time. And even spiritually drain them over time. You break people this way. And you can have some of the strongest people out there get broke down by this very quickly. And others, it might take a little time. In order to start the healing process from this type of abuse, you have to cut the abusers off. As best as you can. You'll never fully get away from them. And sure, maybe over time or for a while, they'll quit snooping your shit. You may not hear from them for any long periods of time or anything like that, or anybody remotely close to them. But in due time, when they think your guard is down and you're doing better, then they'll come out of the woodwork and talk to you again. And that's why I've eliminated those methods of contact for that person to go through. And that's why I say, when it comes to anybody else who's in this position or is going through it, has gone through it, they know it needs to be done. You have to stick to it. It gets easier over time. It's still difficult. There's aspects that are still just as difficult, but the longer you go and put your focus elsewhere, the easier it is to let them go. And putting your energy more towards healing and recuperating than you would, say, put energy towards trying to get revenge, things will get better for you. Leave the revenge in God's hands and karma's hands. They'll take care of it, and trust me, they will. It may not happen right away, but when it happens, you'll know, and you'd probably be sitting back when you hear about it eventually going, they did that to me, and this is what comes of it. They did that to me to do that, and that's what comes of it. Yeah, that's basically what's going to happen. You're going to start to laugh about it, because there's going to be a little bit of, well, that's karma for you. Those folks may end up, they may go to every venue that they can to get help and find that they don't have the help that they once got from you. And eventually they're going to try and build the nerve to contact you to get that again. It's like, no, sorry. You made your bed, lay in it. So you got to lay in it now, okay? And that's what you have to do with these types of situations. You have to basically sever it all. And this includes having to sever friendships, relationships within the family, all that stuff, especially when it comes to people who have already made up their mind and started judging you based on this shit talking and gossip. Karma will get those people too. Not as bad, but they will get them too in time. They'll go through realization, wait a minute, you mean I was that stupid? Yeah, you were. You were that stupid. And it's okay, because I recognize that I'm socially retarded when it comes down to a lot of stuff. So I can accept my shortcomings for the most part. I just know I have to work on them as best as I can. And that's all anybody can do, is once you realize you've made some mistakes and all that in life, you do what you can to change them and not repeat them. So, yeah. Anyways, I've rambled for 25 minutes now. I hope you guys have a good day and a good morning. All right. Thanks for watching.